What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a look over here at the XRP price chart. Coming off of a massive victory over there with the SEC versus Ripple. Now that XRP is the only cryptocurrency to have clear regulatory clarity. As Brad Garlinghouse stated yesterday, quoting a segment of the summary judgment that we've looked at multiple times, XRP as a digital token is not in and of itself a contract, transaction, or scheme that embodies the Howey requirements of an investment contract. This is now a matter of law and is not up for trial. And as the price of XRP shot up as high as 99% yesterday, we'll get back to business here on this YouTube channel and take a look at this chart and see if there's any conclusions that we can draw from it. But I did also want to confirm, now that it is a new day, what happened yesterday was not a dream. It was all real. You had Coinbase celebrating, and they even relisted XRP, along with other major exchanges, including Kraken and Crypto.com. So it absolutely felt like a dream with how fast things happened yesterday. That was probably the best outcome I could have imagined, that XRP is not an investment contract. And then all the relistings over there on the exchanges taking place just hours later. Like, phew. Talk about just 2.5 years of being drawn out for forever and then coming to an end suddenly. But what was really interesting about that is we've been tracking XRP, obviously, for years on this channel. And specifically, we've been really watching the accumulation schematic that's been happening for XRP here since April of 2021, and how the whole schematic has been so similar to our last accumulation schematic for XRP, whether it's the fall that took place in 2018 to 2020 versus the fall from 2013 to 2014, both of those being like 95, 96%. Then we get these exact same reaccumulations of 85.5%, and then we get the same Wyckoff accumulation schematics arriving in here. The only difference that shows up in here is something we covered earlier this week when we were talking about the bull run setup on the altcoin market, in which we were discussing the accumulation schematic, the spring phases that can come in Wyckoff accumulation, which both of these PDFs and videos are here on bcbacker.com, right there in Wyckoff accumulation. Which for the most part, Wyckoff accumulation's typically the same until the ending. And in the ending, in phase C, we can have something called a spring that can be aggressive and go to the lows, or we can have something that's kind of drawn out and boring, which is called our last point of support. In which in the spring, we see how we shift all the way down to the bottom of the trading range. Yet in last point of support, we really just kind of drag out in here until it finally breaks out and goes. Otherwise, all the other phases that are happening in here, they're all the same. It's just the ending that can vary here from spring to last point of support. And in our video, we were talking about how XRP was exhibiting more of a last point of support, whereas the rest of the market had already done these spring phases down to the bottom of the trading range. We knew that the accumulation schematic was nearly identical to what had happened back in 2016 and 2017. We were just getting the last point of support version on the ending of Wyckoff accumulation, whereas all these other assets like Solana had gotten spring, like Atom and Cardano, and of course the leader of the pack, Bitcoin Cash. Where we would have expected spring to show up there on XRP, we got it throughout the market, and the timing of when that spring showed up was identical in timing to what we saw back in 2017. So for those who were just tuning in, there's obviously a lot of price action. You're saying, hey, what's going on with this asset? Why is this asset going up? We've been in this long accumulation schematic that we've just been tracking along for a very long time, and we're reaching the very final phase of it. And then like magic, right on cue, we get the results of summary judgment giving XRP clarity as the only digital asset in the cryptocurrency market to get clarity. So from a technical breakout perspective of what happened here, we could see we pretty much did the exact same thing back in 2017 as well. And then what happened in 2017, we'll shift this over here, just get a clearer look at it. You could see price came back down and back tested all of that broken resistance and then went on a moon mission afterwards. That's like the most optimistic scenario we could probably look at, right? So that would be like the oh, please be doing that. That would be absolutely fantastic. We've been in this thing for years. It would be nice to finally have that happen. I mean, you know, if we do get that, right, the normal thing to expect would be some form of a back test of the broken resistance level to confirm it as a support, which, you know, gets you back down into those upper 50s. What we can see from 2017 is it was short-lived. You can just count the number of days in here on how long this lasted, is that this lasted about 1 week. It was pretty violent when it came back down, but otherwise it was about a week in here and then things started progressing up. So that's kind of our fingers crossed best case scenario for happening here. When we look at like macro conditions of what's happening elsewhere, right? We've got Bitcoin trying to break out. You have the US dollar that broke down just 2 days ago. We know these breakdowns in the dollar are historically good for the crypto market, and XRP has performed well in moments like this and in moments like this. So getting that breakdown at the exact same time in the dollar, pretty nice thing to see show up. While at the same time, we got the NASDAQ yesterday to break through the 786 Fibonacci retracement. And we've got the Dow Jones going for the big fight to break through the 702. So we have macro conditions kind of lining up for something positive to happen, because that is just the order of events. Macro conditions give Bitcoin the green light, which then gives the altcoin market the green light, which gives XRP the green light. And out of all the things that we could have hoped for, all the things I could have hoped for to happen here, this was exactly the hope, that we would get an explosion to take place here to take us out of this trading range that we've been in for a year and 2 months, to get an explosion out of that trading range, and of course to be accompanied with like the best news we could hope for, that XRP is not a security and then gets relisted on all the exchanges. Just absolutely fantastic. So we have like macro elements that are lining up, and then we have fundamental elements that are lining up, and then we have technical accumulation elements that lined up for Wyckoff accumulation sign of strength to shoot its way out of phase C. But all of this does show still here, like it's not just a straight line up. There is big volatile moments that happen in here. And it's of course even scary to in any way point to something like this being the next thing to come. We've all been in this asset for so long. We know we can get hit with disappointment so much. With the moment we're in at this exact moment is point to and say, we've done everything that we had hoped we would. If this asset's going to behave similar to how it's behaved before, which it has this entire time, falling 85.5%, spending 821 days in the trading range, breaking out 4 days before it did last time, right? This one was 825 days. We did 821 days. We do the same accumulation schematic. The only things that are different are phase C, last points of supports, where we have already seen spring phase show up there in phase C for the rest of the market. We have just conditions aligning in the cryptocurrency market, macro markets. And now we've got our explosion, and now we have our fundamental news. We have our relistings on exchanges. Volatility probably in the cards. But if there is any chance for things to get crazy, and as we've talked about, prime to rise, crypto's massively bullish indicators, XRP and Bitcoin in July, this is our chance. Right? So this, of course, is the holy grail. That holy grail scenario is accompanied with a back test of the broken range. But even so, even should we start shifting up even higher, we'll have to do what we typically do. We'll start busting out retracements. We'll start saying, hey, we're getting back into these retracement levels. This is the areas to be worried at. Historically, there's a lot of resistances when we get back up in here. You know, your $1.30, your $1.15, your $1.51. We'll be talking about those too. Should we get our way back up in here, that these are the concerns? Obviously, if we cut through them like butter, like we did in 2017, well, that will be a short-lived day that we talk about that. But that will be a focus as we get closer to that. Should we get there? Otherwise, if we just kind of take the guess and say, hey, you know, we've been behaving as we should have, it would scream some type of back test back to the upper 50s, and then fingers crossed, off and away we go. So congrats to everybody who rode through this storm that we've been in for so long. We escaped. Back tests are normal, likely, but as always, we'll go through them together. And in the end, the 1 year and 2 month range has been left behind. So, all right, guys, I'm sure I'll be checking in with you more. I wanted to just talk about current price action with the breakout of the range. The Wyckoff accumulation, last point of support, has been escaped from. Typically, when we see these types of signs of strength and these breakouts happen in here, it's very common to see a back test. I understand we have phenomenal news, but still back tests are very common. However, even in our example of having a back test in this exact same structure last time, it was short-lived and it led to a very exciting moment. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll keep our eyes focused on it. Otherwise, congrats to you all. You woke up another day. None of it was a dream. It all happened. It's all listed back on Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com. United States citizens have access to XRP again, and we made it. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. If you're looking for something to do throughout the weekend, throughout the afternoon today, you can check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com. with over 11 hours of content in here, deep diving into the cryptocurrency market, into different structures and different accumulations like Wyckoff. We talked about Elliott wave theory that was highly requested. There's a whole section on Elliott wave theory, talking a lot about historical behavior of the crypto market and a lot of things that I've learned from experience and analyzing what occurred back in 2021. There's over 11 hours worth of content in here. There's no subscription fees or no reoccurring payments. It's one time, 39 bucks. Right over here on bcbacker.com. There's also a link in the description of this video. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.